Hello everybody and welcome back to our channel. Have you ever wondered why a salesperson might push certain consumer products more than others? Today we're talking about how sales compensation can influence what you're being sold and what every consumer should know before making a decision. Understanding the why behind a recommendation can help you make a smarter, more informed choice. So Christine from Ferraris Law, as always, is here to shed some light on a few important questions consumers may often ask. Hello, Christine.
Hi, Lizette. Thank you for the good question and the topic. I find with the consumers that come to us that might have purchased a car or a solar, panels and system for their house, we, trusted and relied on representation, not understanding exactly how that process works. In both industries, there's, strong incentives for the salesperson to make the sale. And in, a lot of places where there's folks that are compensated by making a sale. Sometimes knowing how that's structured, or maybe even asking a question, like, is this sale really important to you this month for, to meet your quota? How do you get paid? You maybe even just, broaching that subject. So you understand, because a lot of things get brushed over in terms of warranties and like, oh, this warranty is going to cover everything. But then when you go home and actually have to exercise, your warranty rights, you find that it doesn't cover everything. So it's just something to be aware of, like, it's a rosy and you're emotionally invested in whatever, usually a big investment, maybe like a car. And so it's try to step back and understand exactly what's motivating that person to make the sale and how much do you really know and if what was represented is in the paperwork.
Okay, that makes sense, yes. And I think that's knowing the why, the motive behind it.
Yeah.
Okay. So what are some red flags that a recommendation might be influenced by incentives?
If you're buying something and the warranty is important to you, and you don't see anything exactly describing what that warranty is specifically, what we see a lot from consumers that come to us for assistance is that they receive sales paperwork, but exactly what the warranty says and doesn't say, they don't really understand and they didn't ask. So warranties are really, and then anything where they want to sell you some kind of maintenance or service contract, which is kind of an extended warranty. So, asking the questions about, your finance charge, understanding what it is, not just what your payments are and how much your interest rate is actually and how it's calculated, what's actually incorporated into that. And if there's any requirements that in order to get a specific finance charge, do you have to get a specific type of insurance? Because that's actually a finance charge. So understanding exactly what you're paying for and seeing it in writing, not waiting till you get home and it's hard because there are high pressured sales and it's like, this is the time and you're excited, but take your time. And so if you're being pressured to sign and move along, then that's a big red flag.
Yes, of course. I can just imagine. That is like one of the things that stand out definitely. If you're pressured, then just take a step back and reevaluate your choices.
Yes.
So, okay, last question. What can consumers do to protect themselves before making a purchase?
I think knowing exactly what you want and going in and explaining that, and then making sure your paperwork says what they said. So I'm kind of repeating what I've already said, and taking your time to read the paperwork. I know it sounds oversimplified, but half the time I'm reading paperwork that consumers just didn't take the time to read. And sometimes there's lots of pages. If it's a mortgage, if you're buying a car, it's like basically a mortgage. You have lots of paperwork, lots of small print. Another thing I should point out is like arbitration clauses that are in A lot of these sales documents now prevent you from actually, except for going to small claims court, exercising your rights in a court and getting a jury to listen to, if you've been deceived or cheated or your warranty wasn't as represented. So when there's sales tactics that are deceptive and so forth. So making sure, if you have an option to opt out of that, of certain things, then at least, that's when you have a problem later, the court's going to presume that you negotiated this contract. That's a presumption in there. So if you see something in there you disagree with, you should point that out, or you lack clarity on, you don't understand something. And if that salesperson can't explain it to you and it can't be written in a way that you understand, then that's a problem.
Yeah, no, most definitely. That is also, I think, a red flag if you ask questions that even the salesperson can't answer. So thank you so much, Christine, for your time and for giving us this quick update or snippet, so that we can make more informed decisions. And folks, we hope these tips help you feel more confident the next time you're making a purchase or signing an agreement. And remember, asking the right questions makes all the difference. If something doesn't feel right, take a step back, get clarity, and, make sure before you make a decision to move forward. So yeah, thank you, Christine. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Lizette. Thank you.